Hello guys, it is SimFam here with another Sims 4 build video. So today we are doing the Sulani treehouse, the sweet Sulani treehouse, and it is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, waterfront island build. It is on stilts as well as 2 palm trees. I thought the palm trees were very realistic, because if there is a bad tropical storm or a hurricane, the trees should help hold the house down. So I did start this build with a little bit more of a natural vibe, very earthy, but eventually I come across the base game pink wood siding, and that really inspired me to go more boho, shabby chic pastel with this build. So that's how it kind of turns into the cute little pink house you guys saw in the thumbnail. And I'm also using the Move Objects cheat to put the trees through the walls. If you guys are on console like me and don't know how to use that one, it is bb.moveobjects on. So you just hold down L1, L2, R1, and R2 all at the same time, and a menu should pop up, and that's where you would type in bb.moveobjects space on, and I will put that in the description below for you guys as well. I also show you guys a few other tips and tricks later on in this video, and I'll put all of those in the description below as well. So now I am just deciding on some windows here. And this is where I come across that pink siding. So as you can see, I spend quite a bit of time going back and forth here. And I spend a little bit of time going back and forth in general in this build. This is actually my first ever speed build, so I didn't really realize just how much time I spend being so picky and tedious with my builds. So that's something I'm definitely trying to work on in the future. I have a severe case of FOMO, which if you don't know what FOMO is, it is a fear of missing out. So I always just want to make sure that I see everything and I have all my options and I make the perfect choice. I think that's why I was never very good at taking tests way back in the day in grade school. It wasn't that I didn't know the answers, I just wasn't very confident, and I would always second guess myself and get the answer wrong because I changed the correct answer that I already had. Speaking of taking tests, in high school I took a career test, and one of the main careers that it said I would be good at would be interior design, but it said my biggest flaw when it came to interior design would be my lack of confidence in my decision making. And so I think it's so funny that that occurred then, and it affects me now still, even in my Sims 4 builds. You can definitely see I have a lack of confidence in my decision making. So that's something I really need to work on, just really listening to my heart and my intuition. Earlier you guys saw I did build a little hurricane flood wall around this house. I did end up deleting it, but I do eventually bring it back. It's a super cool idea when you have a house on an island next to the ocean, that you have some sort of barrier between the house and the ocean itself. So here is that wall again. And I thought it was super cute. It's the wall that came with the Get Famous pack, but it does come in pink. So I thought it matched the house really well. And here I am just changing the colors of that door. I love that door so much, by the way. It comes with the Island Living pack, and it's kind of like a door and windows, kind of like a 2-in-1. So that's why I love it so much. It's very low-key. It's actually the same door I ended up using in my tropical themed Sparked Wedding Challenge build, where I built the zoo with the aquarium. So now I'm just tweaking the roof a little bit, and putting some plants and some wall decorations up. I do eventually move those hanging plants to the inside, actually specifically to the bathroom, and I think it worked really well in there. It looks super cute. I am trying to decide what kind of awning I want. I do eventually end up just building one myself. But before I go to that, I get a little frustrated and go to the roof. I want to also make sure that the roof really matches the awning. So I wanted to decide what kind of roofing the awning would have. So in order to do that, I had to decide what kind of roofing the house would have. And I do put a little vent up there as well as a wall planter. The planter I eventually do move to the back. And here I experiment once again with some of the awnings. But I ultimately decide just to do some tiling up there. It takes me a while to realize that the Jungle Adventure pink tiling is in fact the correct tiling that I want for this build. It felt a little risky to me. Like I said, I normally do some very realistic builds, and I wasn't sure how realistic it was to have that kind of shiny, glossy kitchen bathroom tiling on the outside, but it was just too cute. I couldn't forget about it, so I ended up using it. And it worked out really well in the end because I used it in the bathroom as well for the shower that came with Jungle Adventure. So it kind of ties everything together and makes it look very cohesive. And I love the Jungle Adventure pack. It came with so many good build items. So we are pretty much done with the outside now, and we are heading inside. I wanted to give the bathroom a little bit of a shape. And I also experimented with seeing if I could turn this into a tiny home. Unfortunately, it was a few tiles too large. I believe it was like 142, and you have to be 100 or less to be a tiny home. I recently just got the tiny home pack, and I love it so much. There are so many good items in it. My lovely boyfriend bought it for me about a week ago. So eventually I do choose this sea green colored corner tub. It's actually the same tub that Miss Griffey was using earlier in her Twitch stream. She built a mermaid apartment. Well, I guess she renovated it, right? She didn't build it. She renovated an apartment for a mermaid. And she used the blue color of this tub. It's super sad that the mermaid's tails don't hang out of the side of hot tubs, only bathtubs. So that's why she didn't use a hot tub instead. I choose to go with a pale yellow color here in the bathroom. It's super light, super cute. So now I'm just filling up the space with extra items, some clutter, some decor. I do make a custom cabinet there for the towels. I just use a regular cabinet and put the towels on top of it using that Move Objects cheat from earlier, just to give it a little bit more definition and to make it look like it's wood instead of cheap plastic. And those photos above the toilet area did come with the tiny living pack. I love them so much. They are so awesome. They come in so many different designs and colors, and you can really use them for so many things. I also really love how I did the mirror in here. I just put that light kind of behind it. I think it looks super cool. It kind of gives it a little bit more of an eco vibe. I unfortunately do not have the eco living pack yet, so I'd be really curious to see how different this would have turned out if I had some of those really cool items. I did choose to go with this porcelain kind of like beige color tile in the bathroom. I almost chose marble, but I like the more low-key look of this tile. And this tile is very popular in tropical homes. I lived in Florida for quite a while, and almost every home in Florida has this kind of tiling in it. I chose to go with the Get Famous doors, the little star doors. And now I'm just building out the bedroom, and I did find this really cool partition. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it yet, so I kind of just left it to the side, but I do end up using it later in the living room area. I used 2 of them, 1 on each side, and I changed the color, and it looks super cool, super beachy. Here is the kitchen. I realize that fridge is technically the low-end fridge. It is the used fridge in the game, but I thought it looked super cute, super boho shabby chic. It is pink and it has a little bit of blue and white on the edges. A little bit of that distressed look. And here I am putting in the cabinets. And building an island. I love the chairs mismatched here, but I do come back to it later and make them both yellow, as I end up putting in a pink booth to the left in the dining area. That's probably my favorite part of this build is the booth. I've been really obsessed lately with putting booths in, as well as making the islands diagonal, so later on I do change the island and make it a diagonal island. I think it just adds a little extra definition to the space. I was super excited about using this carpet. I hadn't used it yet in any of my builds. At least I don't think I did. I might have used it in the zoo, but I really don't think I did. I thought it was the perfect color for this build. It's kind of like a coral, kind of like the orange is pink. So now I am experimenting with some different rugs, trying to figure out how to cover up some of this floor space. And I started pulling out different tables, but honestly, I already picked the table I loved. I loved that yellow table. It was super shabby chic, super beachy. Now eventually I do end up putting in a corner booth and experimenting with round tables, but I ultimately decided that I really love that yellow table, so I come back for it in the end. And I put in a long wall booth instead. So there is that corner booth we talked about. And there goes the island going diagonal. So I decide that the little tables are not really the vibe I'm going for, and I bring back the long tables as well as the long booth. I do go with the Get to Work bubble chairs. I believe those are locked, so you will have to hit your 4 shoulder buttons again and type in the, I believe it's unlock game, or it's game unlocked, ignore game unlocks entitlement. I believe that's what it is. Ignore game unlocks entitlement. And I will double check that one for you guys and put it in the description below as well. That allows you to use any of the locked items in the game. So here I am just filling out the kitchen a little bit, experimenting with the cabinets, adding some little tables here and there. And I start to work on the living space a little bit. I go back to the kitchen one last time to see if I want to leave the cabinets open, kind of Salvadorian style. ultimately I decided to leave a couple open cabinets in there, but use the traditional cabinets otherwise. In the living space, I do end up using quite a bit of things from the tiny living pack. I use the table, the chair, the couch, as well as the TV area. So I believe that's like a TV storage console, is that what they call them? Entertainment center. I think it's an entertainment center. I think that's what they're called. So I spend quite some time in here because there's so many different ways you can configure it, and I've got way too many items now, honestly, to choose from, so there's so many things that would have looked so good in here. I do put in a fireplace. I realize we are on an island, so it doesn't get too cold here, so I did want to make it look more of a natural fireplace, like a wood burning stove. So eventually I put some really cute corally pink pipes on it leading to the outside, kind of making it look like that is where the smoke would lead to if you had actual wood logs in the fireplace. So at first I do put this light blue fireplace in, but eventually I get rid of it and put in those pipes. As well as the TV, I get rid of that one as well, and then I put in that entertainment center. I really love that I have so many little ottomans and cushions and things now that I can kind of just leave laying around. I think it really adds an extra dimension to the builds. So I chose to go with the tropical hanging pendant light in the living area. I do put that little saucer light on it as well. I thought it kind of looked like a jellyfish, but eventually I realized that was a little tacky, so I went ahead and removed it. So here you can see I'm just struggling a little bit with making my ultimate choice in the living area. So I leave that space for a little bit and I go work on the bedroom as well as the kitchen again. So here I am just trying to decide on a bed. I ultimately did decide on the canopy bed that I come back to later. I put in a little desk area. I love this desk so much. It's super cute. It reminds me of my desk in real life, except my shelf is on the side and not in the front. So here I am adding a laptop to the desk. I thought a laptop went really well with kind of the tiny living theme. And I start to really fill out that living space in the living room. And I begin adding just some little knickknacks and clutter to the other rooms as well. So for the shelving, I eventually do start to add some knickknacks and things on it. And what you do for that one is you hit the R2 and L2 3 times in a row pretty quickly, and that will turn on the free placement cheat. So on top of being able to put objects on top of each other, you can now move objects wherever you want. And if you use the D-pad going up and down, it will move items up or down a wall so that you can put them on shelves. That's a cheat that I just recently learned about, and it has made everything so much better. I used to wonder who was the sick, cruel person at EA who made these cabinets and these shelves in the game and didn't allow us to put anything on them. I didn't realize that we actually could. So I'm super excited to share that one with you guys. That way we can all clutter our builds up a little bit more and make them all more cozy and lived in. here I am experimenting with putting something behind the couch. I almost go with a bubble blower, but I decided that that was a little tacky for this build. I feel like it's a gag item in this game. And now I'm just looking at some more rugs. Rugs are so important. I go through so many rugs in this game just trying to decide which ones will look best. I do ultimately decide on this white, fluffy, furry rug. I think it looks super cute. Super sweet. And here I am trying to change my mind about the sofas, but I ultimately go back to the yellow one. And of course I do have a fishbowl here as well. So I finally get that down on the table like I like. And then I start adding in some sculptures and some little knickknacks here and there. So you can see me using that cheat I mentioned earlier now, where I'm moving things up and down. And of course I do have a painting area. All of my Sims are painters. I'm very creative, so I expect them all to be as well. And here we are putting in the fireplace again. And we're just going through and adding in some extra clutter. I do go ahead and add this campfire to the fireplace. Kind of makes it look like there might be some wood in there burning. So I do end up doing some edits to the awning outside and making it more tropical and breezy. I add that super cute wooden awning with the canopy attached, the little curtains. And I add some beaded curtains to the bathroom. And there are those pipes I was talking about earlier. I thought they looked super cute. And these bottles I do end up putting on the desk. I'd like to think that they are maybe some soda bottles or something that she collects. Maybe even Avon bottles, depending on who lives here. I think those are so cool. Have you guys ever seen those? The little Avon bottles back in the day? They were like little sculptures. Sometimes they have them at Goodwill. Now I'm just adding a few more things to the kitchen area. And I begin to look at the wallpaper for the whole house. I believe I ultimately decided to make the bedroom the same color as the bathroom, and then to use that wood tropical paneling that came with the Island Living Pack in the living room. So here I am putting in some windows. I don't put in a whole lot of them because this build really doesn't need a whole lot of windows. It's a super small building and I wanted to keep it very cluttered, so if I put in too many windows, that would look kind of weird with all the art on the walls. The build is almost complete. I'm just going through and adding a few more touches here and there. I thought it was so funny that I chose to put a clock in the kitchen area because when you live on an island, you are on island time. Or so I hear, so I don't know, I feel like a clock was an interesting choice since nobody really pays attention to the time when they live on an island anyway. So I thought about putting a ceiling fan on the porch, but it just got a little too busy under there, so I ultimately decided against that. I do put in a grill, as well as a hot tub and a fountain. I'm not sure if we went over that earlier. Then I start to mess with the landscaping a little bit. I wanted it to look a little bit more natural, a little bit more lived on. I wish we had footprints in the game. I know we have paw prints, but I didn't want to add those because I didn't want it to really necessarily look like a pet lived here. With this build being so tiny and small, I wanted game players to make their own choice whether or not they wanted to have a pet in this building. I'm just trying to make it look like there's a little bit of a walked-on trail between the deck and the gate. I try to change the color of the sand there just a little bit. And there I put the plants on the back of the building. I didn't put a back door here because the building is already so small. So here I do have the free placement on. And I added a little ski boat as well so you can get around from the island. And that is the whole build, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And like I said, I will post a full tour video pretty soon as well. That way you guys can kind of see a ground eye level at a little bit of a slower pace than it is now. So thank you so much. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. And like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys again next time. Bye!